for you. Of course, most people could hardly believe what I will tell you today. And this, frankly speaking, is not surprising, since this case is not amenable to science, and no one, not even the most experienced specialists, can explain it. Most likely, if it were thousands of other the witnesses who discovered our main character and saw what happened with their own eyes, we would hardly have even learned about this amazing story. 25-year-old American Mary Kranick lived in Minnesota. She was just like thousands of other American women, and at the age of 24, the young woman was pregnant and her loving husband was waiting for their baby with excitement. Everything was going on as usual, and nothing surprising was happening. By that time, Mary was already 8 months pregnant, and there were no reasons for trouble. In January 2014, Mary was driving home in her car, returning from the city. That day, there was a terrible snowstorm. It snowed all night and morning, and the snow covered everything. The ground was covered with snow at 40 inches in height. Mary was in her SUV, and there were only a few miles to the house when suddenly her car stopped. The young woman realized that it could not go anymore. Of course, the services had to clean the roads, but since it was not the main highway, but a small road in the forest, they had not reached it yet. The car got stuck in a snowdrift. All of the woman's attempts were desperate and led only to the fact that the SUV was stuck in its tracks. Mary got out of her car, hoping that soon special vehicles would come and pick her up. But the snowstorm was getting stronger, and for half an hour, no one appeared. The young woman was desperate. She was already starting to freeze. She understood that she couldn't keep her car running either because there wasn't enough gas. But the worst thing was that it was already getting dark, and there was more and more snow. Her heart was beating faster and faster, and she was afraid of staying here for too long. She was completely alone in a snowstorm on a snow-covered road a few miles away from her home and from the city, so it would be difficult to stay here until the morning. The path to the city was a little shorter, so Mary decided to go back on foot. She made her way through the snow and blizzard, and she managed to walk almost half a mile. And then something happened. It could not be imagined even in the worst nightmare. Suddenly, as the young woman was already in a panic, she felt that she was going into labor. She understood that she could not walk any further. She saw a place under the nearest tree where there was less snow. With great effort, she managed to get there. Mary only said, "Lord, why is this happening to me? Help me, please." And after 5 minutes, she lost consciousness from the cold and pain. This could have been the end of the story, and we would never know its continuation. We would only find out about a frozen body found a few days later. But what actually happened after that does not have any explanation. I do not know how much time had passed since I fainted, Mary recalls, but when I came to my senses, I felt warm, and my head was lying on the back of a huge gray wolf. He was probably the leader of the pack. The other wolves, and there were about 9 of them, surrounded me with a tight ring, blocking me from the snowstorm. I did not even have time to get scared. It was more like a dream. They did not show any aggression at all, and were going around me like nannies. In about 20 minutes, right there in the snow, I gave birth to my baby. One she-wolf carefully gnawed the umbilical cord and then licked my boy with another wolf.
Oh, so it was a
As if
boy.
they clearly knew and understood what and how to do it. The rest of the wolves snuggled and warmed me. The she-wolf, gnawing the umbilical cord, slightly pushed my baby towards me with her nose. My child was crying, and this meant that he was alive. So I started breastfeeding him. All this time, wild predators were nearby, protecting me from the snowstorm with a dense wall. I was like a member of their pack who needed their help.
How many stories do we
Licked the snow and tears on my cheeks. By that time, Mary's husband had already started searching for his wife because she should have returned home a long time ago. He and his neighbors drove in a heavy truck along the same path the young woman was on towards her. On the road, they found the abandoned car covered with snow and continued searching. Seeing a wolf pack, the people decided that the most terrible thing must have happened. One of the men took his gun and started shooting into the air. The wolves scattered, but they did not go far from the young woman and her baby. Coming closer, the husband found his wife with the newborn in her arms. "It was something incredible," the man told later. "How was it possible? I could not imagine that it could happen like that." others were staying nearby all this time. Despite the group of people, the wolves were not even going to leave this place. They watched the people carrying the woman who had been under their care and the baby into the car. An hour later, the young woman was safely delivered to the city hospital. A few days after this incident, Mary gave an interview to reporters. "They definitely will not forget me," the woman said. "I am sure I will find time to visit them someday with my little Bill. We will go to
Little
the place
Bill.
where the pack of wild and bloodthirsty predators saved me and my baby from inevitable death. I am sure that they will definitely come and recognize me and my child. It was not just a random situation. Of course, now we have a connection with them." Forest rangers and hunters refused to comment on this incident. After all, they had never seen anything like it. Other experts believed that the wolves could smell the child and their maternal instinct kicked in. Of course, they discouraged the young woman from meeting her bloodthirsty saviors, not understanding how this is even possible. But Mary Kranick believes that now she definitely has nothing to fear, and she is looking forward to meeting them. Friends, what do you think? What really happened here? And why?
I have no idea. That's it. And open that's it. Oh my god, there's one more. Oh, this is the last one. I don't care.